On squad, it is Friday, May 27th, 10:27 a.m. and I am actually sitting in my car looking at stocks. And what we are looking at right now is BKSY. Played this a little bit earlier, ended up not making a lot, $1,000 based off of just the daily chart here, which we can see a lot of volume came in. Volume's actually declining, but it's held the gains. And so now we're looking for this to try to break out at the high of 297 back on May 25th. So the reality of that happening, I don't know. One being that the chart pattern on the daily isn't necessarily the most ideal setup. You see here that it hasn't really ran before on volume. The most recent volume has come of late. But again, when stocks are just holding near highs, somewhat of the volume coming in, even though this is declining, and more importantly, the price action, you want to try to take advantage of that, right? And so, of course, you have shorts who are looking at the same thing, who recognize and identify. But with the markets overall being more bullish as of late, looks like we're going to close on the first green week in quite some time with the NASDAQs and the SPYs. That will awaken some of these small caps. And so typically 3 out of 4 stocks are going to run with the market. And that is what we are seeing now. Not so much as far as the quantity, but hopefully that starts to pick up coming into the weeks to come. So again, BKSY, from what I'm looking at, I was entering around this area right here based off of the price action starting to tighten up, and then it consolidated and then started to move. Ended up selling right around the 270, 280, 278 mark, roughly $1,000, 7,500 shares that I had entered into. And so now what we're looking for is that next move. And so you see that it's holding the 280s. I should have been buying right here in the 270s with that bouncing consolidation for, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 10 minutes, right? And that's a 1 minute chart that I'm looking at. But the fact that it can stay up here now and it's higher, the only issue and big concern is this massive level. And this is why it's always good to look at multiple time frames with a pullback of multiple days in the chart. You see right here how this thing consolidated and then came to the downside in the 280s, somewhat choppy, but the reality is that it can break through this if the volume is right. The other thing that we have to pay attention to as well is that this is I guess what you would call a half day. The markets are closing at 2 p.m. I believe overall the stocks, futures, bonds, whatever it is. But with the shorter day, you can look at it both ways. You can look at it and say, okay, shorts don't want to hold this overnight, knowing that this could potentially gap up on them, as well as longs don't want to hold it overnight, potentially gaps down based off of the chart history. Either way, my point is you have to be very, very neutral within the conversation and within your ideology to make sure that you're getting a precise setup and having the right conviction on the right side of the trade. So what we're trying to find right now is just where does that conviction lie. I'm not going to short it just because with shorting, I always wanted to be more of a sure bet, first red day, which clearly that is not the case with this. The stock is up 31 cents. With the markets already being bullish, the sentiment is more of long. You have a lot of hopefuls who have been waiting for something like this for quite some time. And so now we just want to continually find this entry. So if you see what I'm looking at right here, you kind of see it in a wave, right? Where it goes up, it comes down, and just kind of consolidating and bouncing. And then when this price action tightens up again, this is the 1 minute chart, you see it tighten and then it pops over there, right? That volume is where I want to try to find my entry and the reason why the support is being held right now. And so when it comes down on the dip and it maintains, this volume or demand is keeping this up. If this was to break, the momentum would likely be gone. And so what I'm looking for here is for it to build a higher low off of this move right here. Again, it's not an exact science. And so when I'm looking at it, I want to make sure that it's starting to consolidate or have those higher lows to where it's going to use that momentum to try to push it back this way. So you see it come all the way back down to this area. So now we have to see, is the stock going to be able to bounce from here? If it breaks to the downside, I would go ahead and assume, presumably, that the momentum has been lost and that for the moment that there is no re-entry. Now, that being said, it can recover, but I want to have clear setups, and that's what you guys would want to see as well. Higher lows, whether it be consolidation near the high of days, whatever it is, you want to always make sure that the pattern is very clear and concise when you're first starting off trading, because, and really when you're always trading, but more importantly when you're first starting off, because that just gives you your confidence and conviction for those who have to hold on to stocks that may only have, you know, three trades per per week or per revolvement, whatever it is, under the PDT rule. And so by being able to see the patterns very clearly, it's going to allow you and help you to focus in on the right ideal setups and hold through the choppiness or the wave. So you see that bounce yet again, 275 by 276. And this is the beauty of trading, right? Where I'm looking at everything here, and I'm in the car, and I'm on my laptop, but this just goes to show, and I did this for a few years when I first started out, when I was in the workforce. I would have to be somewhere. I would pull into a local grocery store, that cafeteria area, where a lot of grocery stores have these days, or just sit in my car with great Wi-Fi on my phone, personal hotspot, and just continually either learn or make money. But my point of it is that no excuses. You can find a way to make this thing work while hustling on the main job, and then coming back to the side hustle with the stocks and the trades. And the great thing about this is we all know, or should know, that there's ideal time of day of when we should be trading, between at 9:30 open time period up to about 11:30. Digress, move on, do something else with your life, come back around that 1:30, 2 o'clock range on the Eastern Standard Time, all the way up to power hour, or you can go just from 3 to 4, where the close is at 4 o'clock. But you can find your pockets and you can make trading work for you. Don't necessarily allow trading to rule your life. You fit it into your schedule. So again, bouncing, it's 10:34 a.m. So, roughly we have about a little bit over 25, 26 minutes now, until I don't feel comfortable anymore when it comes to trading, because typically the market is done, meaning like the volume, the attention to stocks is done, and that's because humans are trading stocks for the most part, and so they go off to lunch, they go do other things. It's Friday, they're getting ready for the weekend, it's Memorial Weekend, so there you see that big dip. So now let's see if the momentum can hold. Again, I said with here, the momentum is likely broken, and now we're testing the VWAP area. So let's see if this consolidation or this area right here can hold up. So if it can reclaim the 670s, or excuse me, 270s right there, I may take initial position. Not just yet, because it's all within the 1 minute candle. So I want to see it put in, 1 or 2 more candles in the two. Anxious, too trigger happy, because that 1 minute candle could potentially just be a fake out. And so ideally, if I had, my other computer, or if I wanted to trade off of my laptop with my trading view up to see the 5-minute candle charts, I would. But I mean, I can pull it up here on this E-Trade Pro platform. Let's see. So on the E-Trade Pro platform, we just see that one candle to the break side, but we see here I was holding, for roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 20 minutes that is held up here. Again, 25 minutes or so that is held up here. So we're looking for this reclaim and that grab of that 275 area, or that 270 can hold. If we want to pull it out a little bit more, you see the 2 minutes, so it's kind of downtrending. But you see how different time frames are giving you kind of different points of views and perspective. Always want to be able to reference like this prior to you entering the trade. Once you enter the trade, that's it. You're at the mercy of the stock, right? But understanding the support and the resistance and where those areas are and where your focus of entry should be is very, very important prior to getting into the actual trade itself. So let's put it back on the 1 minute. So now you see it's starting to even out. So this is kind of like the moment of truth. So you remember this was the initial candle we were looking at. Here we are now, and it's all holding over 270. See some big sales, sell orders. There's a couple thousand shares. I think it was 13 to 12,000 that I saw right here on the level 2. Level 2, very, very important as well. This is like a blind person using a walking stick. This guides you. This guides you and lets you know how the price action is, but charting is just as important. So I call all of this right here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, the triangle, right? This here is my guide. This is what allows me to be successful in being able to maneuver from the daily chart or overall general concept of what the stock is doing to the intraday of the details to live and in the person. What is going on with the stock? Level 2. So you see how it's trying to hold this 270 area? And honestly, by this point, I would have loved to seen, it bounce, come back, and then regain up here, versus kind of like trying to grind this thing out, because as you can see, it's getting lower and lower. So like lower highs. So like losing the momentum. You see here the volume is dying off. So now we're in minute 5 of this candle. So if we pull back up, you'll see all of this in one candle. So now we're close to that VWAP, and now we're back into the 260. So the selling pressure and the sellers are definitely taking over. And I actually had some dip buys down here in the 267, 268 range. And so, about 15 minutes ago, I would have been executed right here. But to my point, when the price action and the chart are not matching up, again, the setup has to be completely different for me to want to be in this chart now. It's not necessarily an ideal trade for me, or really anybody who's looking to buy. Like, you always want to buy low, sell high when you're going long. But again, that pattern, that setup has to be the right way. So you can use VWAP, because that's basically what's happening right here. People are buying this up at the VWAP, volume weighted, volume weighted average price. And and I say that, hey, the way, obviously when you hear me say that, I don't really I can't even say the acronym the right way, because I don't really focus in on it. But what I really focus in on is that understanding that other people use this as well, and that it's a major indicator from a momentum standpoint. And so using it for that alone has helped me tremendously. But nevertheless, this is going to be a short video lesson, guys. Hopefully you got some information out of this. I guess you can just categorize this as a price action in the morning, potential buy, candle charting, understanding of candles. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get into this, mainly because the setup's not there. So the overall discipline has to be there as well. E Hobbs, aka Art of War. You can follow me on Twitter, Art of War EH3. Sin Capital is a channel always looking to move money forward and up. Let's keep going, let's keep learning, let's keep applying. Let's win.